I'm 1000% sure you all have been waiting for this one. Hello everyone and welcome back to another video of mine. This time I'm back with Heaven's Secret Requiem Season 1 Episode 6. I'm so not excited to see Orumi or nice little ugly fake boss. But what can we do? Sadly, we can't write him off because he's a love interest, but I will do the best I can in order to avoid this bitch as much as possible. I'm just here for my soulmate. Even though I had some criticism about him in the last episode, and to be quite honest, do I blame people for having been a little bit scared of Cain? No, I can't, and I won't blame anyone because, like I said, not everyone is capable to deal with that much negativity in a person. And to be quite honest, y'all, there are people that actually vigorously live through that darkness and they are proud of that darkness that much that they look kind of psycho, and it's actually petrifying. I had someone like that in my life, I'm not gonna lie, and she freaked me out. She actually did. I would be looking at the messages she would send me and I would be petrified, y'all. Because, like, it's normal that everyone has good and negative personality traits, but actually tapping into, like, evil thoughts where you, like, say, oh, I love to kill people and everything, like, no. That's a no. Everyone has some kind of tendency to do something that someone else might not agree with, but we shouldn't be happy that there are people like that, you know, like not everyone can deal with specific negative tendencies of other people, so it's completely fine. But Cain is still the love of my life, and I have a hate relationship right now with that dark hottie. I completely wrote him off after he helped to have us be sedated. So let's see. But right now he's written off, but we will see. Some love to find themselves, others love only to lose themselves. Cain. Happens. Down the rabbit hole. Oh God. What will they have us do? Besides the fact that we're so insanely obsessed with reading that damn book of life, I felt nothing looking at the bloody mess lying in front of me. Yeah, we're numb after all, but I love that there are some options where you can make her feel something again, so we are getting there, girl. That these remains were once human didn't frighten me either. This is what we're all made of. Bones. How wild has the world become that such a sight didn't disgust me? Like I said, numb. But I already said so many times, like, what she's truly feeling on the inside and why she's numb, literally since the story began. Like, I could tell in the first episode that she's numb, and I think analyzed her actions and behavior and feelings 3 times already. So I don't think I need to add more, but I will continue to point it out. Or is it just me that's the problem? No one is ever a problem. Like, we can't do anything about the fact that we get psychologically unstable because of how awful this world is and the people that live in. There are a lot of people that actually make the world a worse place, and that's why pure-hearted people like us and the people in my comment section, like, I will have to point it out because I feel like I'm not doing it enough, only in a few posts. You all have such a beautiful soul, because the reason that you all like me that much isn't necessarily the fact that I bring out humor in, like, some negative moments in stories, or I analyze someone's feelings and make their behavior understandable, which in the Malbonte version, a lot of people kept on pointing it out. And I remember that one fan wrote that she's imagining my Malbonte voice as Malbonte's real voice when she's reading it. And I felt so blessed to hear that, because that means that I'm doing a good job at changing my voice for specific characters. And a lot of people just loved my analyses about Malbonte, and to hear why I love him, ignoring that, the reason that you all love me primarily is because you all have a pure soul. You all are pure-hearted. And that's why I love every single one of you. I can tell that you all have pure souls. That's the reason why you guys love me. And I love you all for it. Because it's so rare nowadays to actually find a pure soul around you and actually being capable to like connect online or more like on YouTube in this precise moment with so many pure souls. It's actually making me feel so emotional. Like, I love every single one of you. I looked at Anna and Kira standing next to me. They need to die. I said what I said. I regret nothing. Their lips curled up as they cringed. I'm cringing every time I see you two. Kira clearly wanted to turn away, but she held still. Oh, you poor soul. Leaning closer to the excavated grave below, I peered at the blood-soaked fabric. The general kneeled down next to me and pulled on his gloves.
This was dumped here quite recently, and the local scavengers must have dug it up because they smelled the stench.
They could have done the same to Nick.
It's too early to draw conclusions. We do not know if it's actually a monk buried here. The fact that the cassock was thrown in along with the rest doesn't mean anything.
Dimitri reached for the bloody fabric and lifted it, examining the entire contents of the pit.
They left the bones.
Should they have carried the bones with them?
The last thing we need are killers in the city. What the hell is going on here?
Y'all, I'm so sorry. Did Cain even come with us here? Because I can't stand anyone in front of me right now. Greg needs to leave because I can't stand him.
The organs haven't started decomposing yet, but the flesh has gone from the bones. How could that be? There are traces of soot on the bones. They removed the organs first and then burned the body. They needed them for something, apparently.
Sacrifice! Sacrifice!
Then whoever did this is completely insane.
Takes one to know one, babe.
You'd expect this sort of thing from monsters, not people.
Have you looked in the mirror lately? Some townspeople started gathering around the cemetery. Greg tried to keep the crowd away to give the general space to inspect the site, but the onlookers pressed in from all sides. I thought about the things that had happened recently. This place just keeps getting weirder and weirder. No, you're surrounded by bitches and you need to leave. Greg said the Rotkov is calmer than other cities, but I think that's only what it looks like on the surface. This place has its share of problems, and we've had the misfortune of running into some of them.
Anna, look at the remains. What do you see?
The woman came closer. A pair of startled crows took to the sky as she crouched by the grave.
I prefer to do examinations like this truly in sterile rooms, but that rarely ever happens. It's time you get used to it.
Anna put on her gloves and started looking over the remains. There was no disgust on her face. On the contrary, she studied the contents of the grave with all the composure of an experienced surgeon. Apart from the tiny knuckles on the other minor thing, the left shoulder bone is missing. Is that particularly strange? For an ordinary grave, yes. This isn't usual for a normal burial, but if we assume that this is part of some ritual, then it makes more sense. I don't think it makes sense that they took out a specific bone. Just that they took out one bone is like enough. Like, nobody wants to just take something from a grave. I remember this from season 2 of Teen Wolf. Like, instead of taking that person's clothing or like their accessory, they took the liver. Ma'am, that's not normal.
I see. So do you think this was intentional?
I nodded.
You can't make out anything in this pile. Let's get the cassock out, then the rest. We need to look over everything carefully.
People started gathering behind us, and some were pushing others aside to get a closer look. Yeah, those are the, curious people.
Let me through.
Oh, not you again. Following him, 2 more people pushed toward the grave, the worker we hadn't met in the canteen and the novice we had encountered earlier.
Oh my god, how horrible. What happened here?
His English still sounded clumsy. Damn. The general straightened. His shadow loomed over the servants of the monastery. To be quite honest. That's funny. Dimitri answered in the man's native language, and an expression of surprise appeared on the novice's face. Looked like they didn't know that some members of the squad could understand them. I'm gonna say the exact same thing that I said when we found out that our nice little Christian de Klerk could understand Indian. Or more like Bengali. Yes, son. Because that's hilarious. It's hilarious when you are in a foreign land and people think you don't understand them, and then they start talking about you. You understand everything. You turn around and answer to them in their own language. Bitch slap.
We need some time to examine the site. Tell these people to leave. They are getting in the way. You're desecrating a holy place. It's you who needs to leave. The remains of one of your brothers are in this hall. Do you want to deal with this yourselves? Or will you let us do our job in peace? I'm gonna keep that commentary I had for myself. The crowd behind the novice started whispering among themselves. Next to the grave, Anna and Kira stood still, not daring to approach it. The pressure from the locals seemed almost tangible. They literally have no ass. Or in other words, they really don't have a dick to stand up for themselves. God damn it, you two. As soon as the novice showed his dissatisfaction, the expression of the onlookers suddenly shifted from surprise to disapproval. They were like a flock that echoed its leader. Something tells me we'll be forced to leave the grave unexamined, even though we didn't learn anything yet. Anna and Kira moved away, but I stayed next to the hole. We need something we can look at later. I guess I'll try to find the priest's collar. A white collar worn by Cleary. It is not sewn to the rest. Okay. Keeping my expression as neutral as possible, I leaned slightly forward and reached into the grave. My fingers touched something sticky and elastic. Ew! Pushing it aside, I finally found a piece of fabric. The collar on the monastic robe lay on the top of the rest. Okay. Now I just have to slowly lift it up. You managed to obtain valuable evidence. This will come in handy in the future, if you say so, sir. I rolled up the piece of fabric and held it in my fist. Then I stealthily returned my hand to its previous position. Dimitri stepped back, letting the novice look at the disturbing scene with his own eyes. Abraham, it is a monastery robe. The woman's eyes became glassy. She stared at one spot, frozen. Joseph, take Lydia away. She doesn't have to see this. The crowd obliquely parted to let them pass through. Then the man turned to us again. Be that as it may, this is our concern. You're meddling in affairs of a city you don't know. We managed ourselves before you came along, and we'll manage ourselves now. This monk disappeared along with one of my soldiers, so this matter concerns us as well. The general raised his head, and his icy gaze passed over the gathered crowd. Everyone who was unlucky enough to catch it tried to quickly turn away. Does anyone know what is happening here? Maybe one of you saw something. No one spoke up. The crowd was silent. Yesterday someone else from our squad died. Your trap are not absolute protection. What a surprise if you spent days on end wandering through the wild forest. You need a burn for that, son. He did not die from spawn while doing his rounds. So sorry. I like the way that this man actually got bitch slapped. Damn. He was attacked inside the estate. The general addressed the crowd again. Are you still not afraid? You think that this killer will not come to your homes? Or is that the abominations don't scare you? And your silence is forced by a threat much closer than those monsters are? What are you implying? Be careful, all of you. For heaven's sake, now you threaten the helpless. Heaven! Heaven came down to earth a long time ago. Y'all, I hate him with a passion, but that's hilarious. You shouldn't worry yourself about that, but rather that which you are being silent about. That's so funny. I hate this man with a passion, but that sentence was funny.
As I thought this was getting us nowhere, the novice and the local vehemently refused to let the squad take the remains and for analysis. We had to leave the grave for the monastery to deal with, an outcome the general was extremely dissatisfied about. Ah ha ha.
They don't even try to hide their interference anymore. But the people are just keeping quiet. They're afraid and don't want any problems.
If I have enough, I don't want any more. I walked behind the others next to Anna. The situation in the city is getting tense, and I still don't know anything about the people around me. I can't just tag along and hope that everything will work itself out. Oh, finally, she came to the conclusion I came in the last episode. It never did before. It won't start now. I increased my pace and moved on ahead, walking closer to Dimitri. Girl, you should have literally stayed in the back, allowed them to just walk away, and you staying there without moving. General, I want to talk. But he didn't even turn around, only the hem of his black cloak flapped as he quickened his pace. He continued to walk as though I hadn't said anything, as if I didn't even exist. Then make sure that he knows that you exist. Because if you literally disappear from his sight, this bitch is gonna be a bitch. He will be like, where the fuck did she go? Thanks, it's so nice to feel respected. Girl, you are not respected in a... Y'all, I also got hate because of the way I sometimes talk about a main character, but I'm sorry, I can't help it. This is literally my opinion about her. What is wrong with this woman? After she was sedated, they used drugs in order to interrogate her. She actually had the feeling that they respect her? Or that they could actually grow respect for her? Where is her mind at? Where is her mind at? Path of high adaptability.
You can't just address the general like that. If you have something to say, ask us to pass it along for you.
Oh, is that how things are? Bitch, you need to leave. Why? This wasn't a problem before?
And it isn't a problem now.
You are my problem, son. Greg turned to look over at Kira.
She's not a subordinate, but a member of the squad, just like you.
Oh, is that how things are? No, y'all, it's everyone being a hypocrite. They're all hypocrites. They all behave like we're the enemy, and then suddenly they're standing up for us. They need to leave. They need to leave me alone. I hate hypocritical people.
That's just a nobby. I wanted to help. Thanks, Kira. You did a great job as usual.
Y'all, if there's anything I'm living for is when someone that is a bitch towards me gets shade. Doesn't matter if it's coming from someone that I can't stand either. If someone I can't stand is getting shaded, I love it.
I know. She says she didn't mean anything bad by it. Then that's the end of it, right?
He put his arm around Kira's shoulders and she reluctantly fell silent, leaving Anna's taunt without a response. Without thinking, I looked at Greg's arm. Noticing my gaze, he hastily pulled away from her. Son, you don't need to do anything for me. Like, this is doing nothing to me. I pulled something from the grave. Can I address him now? This should have been a leverage. Like, she should have used this as leverage. You want answers? You want to examine him? You want to find out something useful? I have something here.
You did what?
The general stopped abruptly and glared at me as if expected my words to be a silly joke. Here, I pulled a collar from the cassock. I handed him a bloody piece of cloth.
For a simple lab assistant, you know how to surprise people.
I just want them all to die, y'all. Am I the only one? Am I the only one? I literally, y'all, to be quite honest, is Cain actually the only reason I'm continuing to play this? I am pretty sure it is, because I can't stand anything of one of them.
Appearances can be deceiving.
Could this help?
We'll see.
Soon we entered the building where the squad had set up their temporary headquarters. I expected to find Dimitri at the desk, but he was standing right at the entrance, and I ran right into Dimitri. Right, we're running into him. Y'all, I don't like him. Why do I need to bump into him? I can't stand him. I passed right by him. I don't need to run into you. No, thank you. The general was looking through the boxes of documents. No, bye.
About the collar you recovered. Her initial embroidered on it. I had to look through all these papers, but it was worth it. They matched the name of the monk who went with Nick on the rounds. You didn't get your hands dirty for nothing.
Oh, thank you. What could have happened to them?
I don't believe they were targeted on purpose. Perhaps they saw something they shouldn't have.
Dimitri is only pretending to guess, but I think he knows he's right. Otherwise, he wouldn't have sent the entire squad just to look for one person, pushing back the translation of the Book of the Apocalypse. I want to hear an honest answer from him. I dug around in the grave for their sake. He could at least share his thoughts with me. What if Nick is gone? Is it worth it to keep chasing the killer? That is, shouldn't the squad's efforts be directed towards something more significant?
You should always start unraveling a large tangle with a small thread first.
He seems confident that solving Nick's disappearance will let us understand the bigger picture. Maybe he drew a connection between the two disappearances, Nick's and the man who came here from Siberia earlier. In that case, figuring out what's going on in Rotkov is a very significant mission that my base began. But only if Dimitri's conclusions aren't wrong, because the real answer could be something totally mundane. I looked at the general again. He had been watching me this entire time so intently that I could very well have been thinking out loud. Now's a good time to tell him that I overheard his conversation with Anna. It'll be better to clear the air as soon as possible, or it will look like I was deliberately hiding it. I heard your conversation with Anna about Joseph R., who disappeared in Rotkov. Looking up from the boxes, Dimitri folded his arms over his chest.
And how much did you hear?
Everything from the moment you stepped outside.
So did you hear over here? There's a difference.
I heard. I hesitated to answer, watching the general's reaction closely. He continued to look at me with a direct and open gaze. This gave me the strength to continue, to be quite honest. She's stupid for that one. I'm so sorry. She does not know how to play her cards. If I have an advantage over someone that is mistreating me, I need to know how to place my cards. She had 2 advantages on her hand. Hearing the conversation between him and Anna, and the caller. She had 2 things that could have helped her. She could have negotiated with these items. She does not know how to play her cards right, y'all. The fact she went to him and she's like, I need answers, he could be honest with me, and then she's spilling everything she knows and she's only getting like a sentence from him. It's always been like this. I have a few questions. Since I'm part of the squad now, I can learn everything the others already know. For example, how did you find the book? What did you find out about the base's collapse? And why are you ready to leave without knowing what it costed? Of course, I've got more questions than that. I'd like to ask all of them, but I'm not sure the general will even answer these. Some of the squad have gotten used to me by now, but there are still some watching my every move. Like Dimitri, for instance.
So you want to talk? All right, then.
The general moved away from the boxes and sat down on a small, time-worn sofa. He stretched out his neck, then put his hand on the back of the seat and looked at me again.
The search took a long time and we didn't have anything to show for it. We've stayed in the city for about a month, far longer than we expected. Donovan was certain that there was a network of tunnels under the base, corridors going into the building from different directions. The collapse destroyed the central part, but at least one of the tunnels had to have remained intact. We didn't have any blueprints of the base, however, so looking for those tunnels took time. With some effort, we managed to find an underground passage that led to one of the few intact sectors in Siberia. You might have guessed that most of the base's ruins are located in the rift, but getting down there is impossible due to the sheer number of spawn around there. But as it turned out, getting deeper into the base through the underground passage was much easier, and Cain did just that. He found the book in the rubble. But not everything went smoothly. As soon as he returned to the squad with it in his possession, the abominations noticed us. To contain them, we had to blow up the remaining support beams and block the passage into that sector. This cut us from the rest of the base.
The general spoke calmly and openly, and I listened without interjecting. After a pause, he looked away and added,
But as soon as we got to the surface, another surprise was waiting for us.
I'm pretty sure I know what he's referring to. Me. Was the surprise good? I can't. Yeah, are you talking about me? That's Was the surprise good? I'm not taking romantic options with this man. Y'all know. Forget it. The second someone is a complete huge ass bitch, I'm not taking any romantic options. I don't care how it affects the story. He does not deserve any gems.
Yes, the ordinary lab assistant has turned out to be anything but ordinary.
Oh. Dimitri picked up the coat lying next to him and put it on.
That's all for today. Let's go outside together. I need to spend time with you.
They could have just killed me, y'all. Am I the only one that wants to see Cain? Is it just me? Like, where is he? We already switched 4 scenes. He still hasn't shown up. This is disgraceful. When we reached the street, Dimitri quietly said,
Your goal probably aligns with ours, so try to become a part of the squad.
Son, your time for asking anything out of me has long passed. You did yourself dirty. And then he walked away. One of the soldiers that had been on duty nearby hurried after him. I headed toward the estate, idly watching the bustling passers-by. Everyone is in a hurry to get somewhere. When living in danger, every new day feels like a lifetime. And people keep on fighting. They want to live. That was one thing I knew very well. When one was empty inside, one would feel unhappy even in the best place on earth. And that emptiness followed me constantly. The bottomless hole in my chest had eventually become a part of me. No matter where I was and no matter what I did, as soon as I remembered it, the melancholy would envelop me. That's the part of you that wants to feel. Y'all, I'm also doing this for y'all. Like, if some of you has ever felt something like this, I'm very happy to let you in on the secrets, on why you're feeling the way you do. Like, this is normal human emotions, like something I find very funny. A lot of people be like, oh, you can never understand a human. They're all different. To a specific degree, I agree. Every single human being is different, but that's just because a lot of people use their personality traits differently. For example, just to put it out there, there's someone that loves to be more kind, more thoughtful, more caring. And the other person next to them, they like to be more violent. They like to curse a lot. They like to be angry. As in, they have the tendency to be very explosive. But that's a choice. Their personality traits. It doesn't mean that the person that is explosive can be kind and thoughtful and caring. They just choose to use those personality traits. But every single human being has the same amount of personality traits. Happiness, sadness, despair, frustration. We all have that. We're all humans. We all have those emotions. And so we all just choose how to behave individually, and that's what makes us different. That's what makes us stand out. That's what makes our opinions variate. But we all have the same feelings. So yes, I can say I can read every single human being, okay? Because we all have the same emotions. So I will be your psychologist, ladies and gentlemen. And so Dimitri's words stuck in my head, repeating themselves over and over. I stopped. All the while, the people kept passing by. Raising my head, I looked at the sky. Why am I clinging on to life? What's keeping me here and won't let me go? At this point, Cain. I didn't even notice that I had changed. Look at her. She's completely drowning in her thoughts. Before, all my worries would grow and eat at me. But now it's like they've disappeared without a trace. There is no more pointless anxiety. But for some reason, that doesn't make it any easier to deal with. That means that you're starting to heal, girl. Because anxiety is like the first thing when you're really, really deep in shit. But despite the emptiness inside me, I keep moving forward anyway. Snowflakes fell steadily from the sky. I extended my hand and one landed on my palm. Looking at its beautiful curves, I clenched my fist and moved on. The trek back to the estate didn't take long. Several people were sitting in the living room with sour expressions frozen on their faces. What's the matter with them? The pleasant smell of home-cooked food wafted from the corridor. Then I heard Greg's light laugh and Anna's voice. Ugh. Does the estate really use the kitchen for its intended purpose and not just as a storage area for boxes? The book was waiting for me in my room. As I thought about it more, I was surprised to feel my strength return along with my former interest. That's kind of like her anchor, finding out what happened to her. That's what's clinging her to life. I walked past the soldiers and locked myself in my room. The old tome was ready for me in the desk drawer and the hidden compartment. As I sat down on the bed with it, I noticed a stack of clean clothes lying next to me. Oh my gosh, look at this top! I would love to have that. Oh god, no. Y'all. Ooh, that's cute. No, but y'all. I did say there are stories where everything is cute. But the clothes. To be quite honest, I like this one. I like this one. I'm sorry. Ew. Oh, let's go with this one. It's hot. It's a hot season. After changing into fresh clothes, I sat on the bed and opened my notebook. The recent events left me with a lot to think about. Talking to the general hadn't cleared up my situation. Right now, being part of the squad felt like riding on a swing. One moment, people were nice to me, and the next, they turned me away. I flipped to the first page where I wrote down part of the line from the fountain. Then I read it again. For some reason, I can't get it out of my head. The city was filled with murders, disappearances, and deaths. Despite trying to make sense of all of it, I was barely making any progress in understanding what had happened to me. In the beginning, this had been the most important task. It was a question that I wanted to find the answer to right away. But as I started getting used to my situation, I had also begun losing sight of myself. I did say that. She lost herself. Although I tried to fight it back and remind myself that I don't know this new me. Y'all, it's just so painful. I don't know if I said it already in my analysis, but I'm gonna place this vision in your minds. It's so scary, and you actually feel even worse than you already were when you reach the bottom of psychological strength. When you look into a mirror, you know who you are, you know what you look like, but you look in the mirror and you don't recognize the person in front of you. That's so scary. Because, like, you can see it's you can see that you're moving your lips, everything. You see the person in front of you and you know it's you, but you don't recognize yourself. Because you have lost so much, you have been through so much pain, through so much suffering, that when you look into the mirror, you can't recognize yourself as the person you once were, because you're not anymore. The pain changed you so much, it turned you into a completely different person. So when you wear the clothes, just like to put an example, because this is actually something that I experienced, so I am very good at like explaining this vision. I used to wear a lot of bright clothing. After I went through my horrible moments, I started to wear dark clothing, like black, Bordeaux, as in dark red, dark green. Before it was mostly white and pink. Before my grandfather died, I didn't even possess something black. After he died, I started to get more black clothing. And when my psychological health went downhill, I couldn't even look at bright clothing anymore. Like, I threw it all away. I started to wear, like, still those bright clothing, like either white and pink, etc., because that was my clothing style before. And then I passed a mirror. I stepped back a few steps in order to face myself in the mirror. And I looked at myself in the mirror. I saw my reflection. I saw someone in front of me and I couldn't recognize her. I saw myself in the mirror and I couldn't recognize the woman that is in front of me. I couldn't recognize myself in that mirror. I had changed so much. My taste in clothing had changed. My thoughts had changed. My expression had changed, as in the smile on my face had disappeared. I wasn't living anymore in bright clothing. I was looking at myself and I felt that I was looking at someone else. Because I had changed that much, I had suffered that much pain and suffering, that when I tried to pretend that I wasn't affected at all by what had happened to me, by all the suffering that I had to endure, I couldn't understand the person in front of me. I couldn't see myself as the person I once were. The person in front of me, the old version of me, was gone. I wasn't like that anymore. And that's like something she's going through. I was still distracted, drifted away from my goal. I thought finding Nick would give me some insight into what was going on, but then there was no more strange dreams and no more news about him. Now these are murderous and symbolic symbols. Something is clearly wrong in this city, and it seems that Siberia wanted to find out exactly what. Maybe the cause of the disaster is here? But then what does the book have to do with it? Is it connected somehow? I looked at the peeling cover of the book. Something told me that this wasn't the case. Part of the mystery is definitely hidden in the text. I can feel it, but there is also something lurking in the city. It's like Rotkov is the key, and the book is the lock, but are useless without the other. It turns out Dimitri was right after all. Our goals aren't that different. At least for now. The door handle rattled, followed by knocking. I hastily stood up and opened the latch. And I came inside.
Oh, you're already here. And dressed up too. Since you're here, go take cover over in the kitchen for me. Dimitri called for Greg and me again, but no one needs help with the cooking.
I wanted to work on the book. Maybe one of the guys hanging out in the hall can do it instead. And I put her hand on my shoulder and forced out a smile.
If Noah's left alone, I'm worried he'll let his emotions get the better of him, and that he will poison us all. He's a mathematician, but he's always thrown temper tantrums like a small child. The others were also supposed to help, but as you can see, that didn't last long.
Now it's clearly why the soldiers in the living room had such sour faces.
We'll be back soon. You just need to keep an eye on him for a while.
I heaved a sigh.
Okay.
I put on the apron Anna gave me and walked along the corridor leading to the kitchen. I saw the people sitting in the hall start to pray when they noticed where I was headed. That's so funny. Is it that bad? Apparently, the clattering of dishes could be heard from far away. Son! Entering the kitchen, I found Noah sitting on a chair surrounded by 3 huge sizzling pots hanging his head in defeat. Damn, son, you good over there?
What did I take me for a cook?
He raised his head, noticing he was no longer alone.
Come on, seriously, they even sent you here. They trust me even less than some new girl.
I wonder if he realizes that it's his own fault. The lid of one of the pans started to rise and Noah rushed to it, turning down the heat on the gas burner. The rest of the food was cooking on a cast iron stove. The boiling water made the room warm, almost downright hot. I looked at the scene. The only things around were a meager selection of meat and cereals, a cutting bread, and several glass jars of seasonings.
Pass me the salt.
Salt shaker in hand, I came closer to him. To take it from me, Noah had to switch the pan lid to the right hand.
Thank you.
He threw a few pinches into the broth and put the lid back. Why do we suddenly need to cook our own food? Are we running low on supplies?
The general decided that this would be a good bonding exercise for the squad. Lately we've all been a little out of our depth.
And the bonding is supposed to be just between 2 people? Don't worry, cooking by yourself. That.
Because the others are a bunch of pansies and idiots. How can I talk to people who want to pretend like everything's fine, who turn a blind eye to the death of a friend? Although you probably wouldn't understand what I'm talking about. You only joined us recently, but them.
He shook his head and sighed dejected. It seemed that he had let out all his contents this content onto the scattered dishes and could now speak more calmly. Noah, how did you end up in the squad?
I'm here because of Amir. You barely knew him, just like you didn't know Nick, but he was one of the first to join up. We're all experts in our field, but that's not why we became a team. Dimitri saved pretty much everyone here.
I refuse that this man can save everyone but himself. Sorry. I know a lot of people are out there that love Dimitri, but he's not mine. I'm sorry. I really am. And I say it every single time more and more because I feel like a lot of people don't quite understand why I choose someone. The face is not it for me, okay? It's really, really not. Of course, a face is a contributing factor. But if your personality is trash in my eyes, no matter how good looking you are, we won't get along. Because I can't get warm with you. Like, what am I doing in a relationship with you? Am I just staring at you? Don't we need to get along? Don't I need to vibe with you? If your personality is trash in my eyes, we won't get along. And that's why I can't get warm with Dimitri. I can't stand him. He's disrespectful. And he's not respecting anyone's privacy. He's not respecting anyone's feelings. No, nothing. He's walking all over people. I have no idea how this man became a boss.
Amir and I have known each other since the old world. He was a manager at the office we both worked at and he was awful. I hated him. I had to do all the work while he was just chilling. We fought every day. And on my way home every day I wished he would die. And then the disasters started. They hit our city without warning. It was a normal work day and the office suddenly started flooding. The typical story for anyone who survived the first wave. The system locked the doors, so we had to climb onto the roof, but I, like a complete moron, tried to save the equipment. I didn't manage to get out with everyone else. My leg had gotten caught in the wires. Either they had forgotten about me or they decided that I could manage on my own. I don't know, but there was no way out of that situation.
Or they were willing to let you die there.
The water was rising too quickly, and very soon it had reached my waist. Honestly, I was about to accept my fate when I suddenly saw Amir. He freed me, and we broke down the doors together. I would have died there without his help, and now he's dead, even though he didn't deserve to die, and I'm the useless one between us. And Amir, he could have saved so many more lives.
Oh, I think that's cute. He's like, he was such a bitch. Like, I had to continue doing his job, but when it was dangerous for me, when I was about to die, he was there for me.
I joined the squad because of him. When we were hiding from the infected and we were both wounded, Dimitri found us. I wasn't into teaming up with other people, but Amir took it to him. We split up for a while later. I joined the squad on my own. It's hard to survive by yourself.
What do you think about the recent deaths?
Over the past year, the squad hasn't a single casualty, even in the most dangerous infected areas. And then, in this quiet city, the people have already been killed. We're all on edge. No one has a clue what we're doing here. The squad's used to fighting tangible threats, but right now we're chasing a ghost.
What do they say about me?
Wondering what the others think of you? Not much. You're part of the generous inner circle dealing with the immortals. Did you see the way Gera looks at you, practically trying to set you on fire, but you can't say anything?
I can't stand that bitch either, son. It's fine.
And you reckon the rest of us?
You learned something new about the squad. As he continued to cook, Noah did not stop talking for even a second. This man is lonely after Amir died. He's lonely. And perhaps he only would talk to Amir, and now no, he doesn't have anyone to be that close with, to share anything with. And the second he gets a chance to talk, he talks. And there are a lot of ignorant people, like the people outside the door that were praying, because they're like, he's talking so much, nobody gives a damn about anything he's saying. And that's why they're all leaving. His measured chatter and complaining didn't push me away. Actually, it suddenly helped me understand his point of view. The soldiers from the squad became a bit more human in my eyes. Each of them had their own story, many of them tragic and full of pain. Noah and I bumped elbows several times. He barely used his right arm and constantly brushed against me with his left. When everything was nearly ready, Anna and Greg returned to the estate. They went into the kitchen and stopped in surprise hearing our casual conversation. Haha, you see what's happening? You see what's happening when you're not a little motherfucking bitch? You see that you can actually make conversation? You see that's still a thing?
This is new.
Readying herself to get back to cooking, Anna gathered back her hair, tucking her bangs behind her ears. Oh, I like her hair.
The general told Cain to look into why people would take the bone of the corpse.
Is he here now, or...
I really don't like leaving this matter to an immortal, so I'll be going with him.
I love you for that. Let me be with my soulmate. I dig it.
Ken suggested starting the search with the book in the monastery archive. I'll come pick you up soon.
This is a good idea. Finally a chance to learn something about the symbol we found.
What? I've finally come to help. Simon and I have already done most of it. I saw you guys have hit it off.
He's not a motherfucking bitch, you see? You see, that's still a thing. Smiling, Greg gently wedged himself between Noah and me. He leaned against the tabletop and folded his arms across his chest.
Should we be worried?
I'm sorry? Do you have anything to say here, Greggy?
Unlike you, Simona knows how to listen.
Period. Noah, I dig you. I stepped back and watched as Greg and Anna started deftly helping Noah with the meat, herbs, and large boiling pots. They moved in harmony and rarely moved out of sync with each other. No one ever bumped against Noah's arm, unlike me. Only people who had known each other a long time could work like this. They can get annoyed at each other and they can get angry, but when they work together, it's obvious how close they really are. Time passed quickly. Soon enough, the angel appeared at the door of the estate. So sorry. His gaze zeroed in on me. He nodded toward the door before leaving, choosing to wait outside. My happiness. I went out into the living room and pulled my coat on tighter, preparing to leave the heat of the kitchen and into the cold and frosty air. That's how you get sick. Anna came up to me. She opened several boxes that were cluttering the asile.
I almost completely forgot about this. I know I shouldn't have separated the stuff. Here, take this. It will keep you warm.
Choose a hat that Simona will wear when outdoors. Okay. Oh, it even has different kind of hair. You know what? Sorry. Yes. Thank you.
No problem.
The monastery was located right behind the already familiar Catholic church. The closer we got to it, the gloomier the surrounding atmosphere became. An oppressive darkness spread from the grey walls and sunk into the damp earth around us. So sorry. The happiness to see him again.
These black stains look like dirt. It looks like it was accumulating inside and then burst outside.
At the monastery, the monks were walking by the walls in small groups of 2 or 3 people. At the sight of us, they shot us dirty looks. Thick hoods covered their heads, matching the color of the robes and hiding their faces in shadow. It made their eyes appear even darker. Why do they let us... Ooh, it actually suits. Why do they let us use the archive if we're not welcome?
The squad helps the city, so it benefits them.
Shouldn't the followers of God be bowing to immortals? Do you not carry out his will in their understanding?
Where did you get the idea that they worship God?
We would expect that. We went around the monastery. Off to the side of it was an unremarkable entrance to one of the rooms.
Here we are. The archive is behind this door.
The angel pushed the massive handle leading to the archive. The creaking of the door echoed off the walls of the archive.
There was supposed to be someone here to meet us. It must be late because I don't see anyone. The archive is large, but I think we can manage by ourselves.
He's so gorgeous. Inside it smelled of mustiness and incense. Oh god. The dusty rows of shelves greeted us with silence. It feels colder here than outside. Ah! I'm so sorry. I'm always happy to see him.
The archive goes down so deep it's almost like a basement, so it's not that strange.
Is there some kind of system here? I approached a high shelf stuffed with so many books that they were sticking out from their perch. I ran my finger over the dusty spines and old embossing.
Of course, any thoughts on what might be a good place to start?
Something about rites, rituals. We need to find out which god a hand would be offered as a sacrifice to. Looking at Cain, I pondered. Or maybe it's better to start with looking for demons?
Come here. The monks keep records of all the volumes in archive.
Ooh! I heard after him. The labyrinth of bulky shelves led us to a small desk. On it was a book, which Cain started leafing through. Its neatly lined pages were filled with a list of sections, titles in several languages, and occasionally names next to them. Are you sure the monks won't mind us poking around here by ourselves? They didn't seem very friendly to me. Because the squad you're living with is friendly?
I let them know that you would be needing help. Maybe they've decided that we can manage on our own. It's like we said, they're not very social.
Cain flipped through page after page, but nothing remarkable in the titles. I stood behind him trying to catch a glimpse of the letters. Noticing my interest, Cain casually raised his wing, blocking my view. Excuse you! Did you do that on purpose? And we're grinning, the flirting. We're starting the riz. Yes, I knew it. We're starting the riz.
What do you mean?
Hands off the property, son. Move your wing away. I was almost sure that he was smiling now. He enjoyed getting a rise out of me. He's turning on the riz. He's turning on the riz. So it's not just me. Raising my hand, I lightly ran my finger along the feathers of his wing, moving to the very top. He stopped what he was doing. What, you like that? Is that like raising your leg, son? It was easier to move his wing aside than I thought it would be. Surprisingly, Cain didn't even put any resistance and silently gave in. He likes it. He likes we're taking initiative. As soon as I pulled back my hand, he continued flipping through the list. I just stood silently behind the angel and watched. Cute! Sometime later, it's been 84 years. The search took longer than expected. Leafing through the pages of another nondescribed volume, I finally heard Cain's voice.
Of good news and bad news, which do you want to hear first?
Give me the bad ones. Give me the bad news, because y'all, the negative ones always ruin your day. So if I have a small positive news and then a huge as bad news, please give me the bad news first. The bad news. I want to know where the issues are. The sooner we solve them, the better. The good news isn't going to go anywhere.
The book we need was taken.
Great.
But none of us the one took it.
Boris?
Going by the dates, we're talking about the first owner of the estate, and must have slipped his mind to return it.
So a lot of time has passed since then. But maybe the book is still somewhere on the estate, abandoned and forgotten.
We'll have to check. Not only are the rituals described in it, but for some reason it was precisely this book that Romanov needed. I think there's a reason for that.
You're probably right, but it's still worth looking at other options. I walked between the shelves once again, looking over the rows of similar spines. What section was this book stored in before? There was no answer. Cain? I went back to the desk, but he was nowhere inside. What? So sorry. So sorry. Did he disappear into a pile of smoke again? Like when we fell from the sky? Where did he go? Gone to find the rest of the tomes? I don't think so. A light breeze passed through the room, fluttering the pages of the ledger and flipping several over. On the pages that opened before me were the section numbers, the name of volume, and Romanov's signature. Cain? Cain, I'll be the chef. Cain, I'll be at the shelf 21. There was no logic to how the old archive numbered its shelves. Lost among them, I wandered around the cold room searching for the one I needed. Great, now I have no idea where to go. I have section 9 in front of me and section 47 behind me. Then I heard a dull bang from somewhere very close by. Cain, did you find something? The lack of response from him began to worry me. Where did this bitch go? I tried to cast away all the worried thoughts and maintain my composure, but anxiety was gradually eating away at me from within. Where did he go? Oh my god. Oh my god. Near the source of the noise lay a book that had fallen onto the ground. Nothing out of the ordinary. My eyes ran over the shelf. Number 21. I couldn't find it this whole time. The dusty volume turned out to be an unremarkable publication containing stories about the demons in Siberia. Looks like a collection of fairy tales. This archive has some really random sections. Anyway, I should put you back on your shelf. I saw that! I saw that! Y'all, for those who don't know, move a little back in this video and look at that nice little opening from the books. That triangle. Look into that triangle. I wiped the cover and then went to the shelf. Oh, god damn it! God damn it, me! Through the gap between the book, a shadow stared at me. No one's skulking around like this could possibly be up to any good. Run away? Run away? Charge at the shadow! Are we stupid? I rushed out into the passage, leaving the shadow behind. The lack of daily physical training had taken its toll. I quickly ran out of breath and my heart was racing. My throat burned from the cold air. The shadow slid behind me, trying to catch up. Ahead of me was the desk, which meant that the exit was also close by. I suddenly heard a sound from the side and a hand reached out for me. Ducking on the reflex, I jumped onto the desk and slid over to the other side, leaving the danger behind. You managed to flee without getting hurt? What the fuck is this? Jumping to my feet, I ran forward, hoping that my instincts were leading me in the right direction. Cain! Cain! Rushing past countless shelves, I strained my voice and called out for the immortal. The exit appeared ahead. One hard push and I was outside. Oh my god, what is going on? I didn't stop even as I slammed the heavy door behind me, expecting the shadow to reappear at any moment. As luck would have it, there's nobody outside. And Cain? Could something even happen to an immortal? Is he still inside or did he just disappear again? I held my head in my hand and tried to get my thoughts in order. An image appeared in my mind. Rickety rows of old dusty shelves and the bloody body of the angel with the frightening shadow looming over it. What? Right now I just have to stay safe. The monastery's territory was divided into several parts by covered passages that led from the walls to the main building. I was lucky to be next to one of them. Slipping into the passage, I crouched so that I wasn't visible from the street and hurried away from the gloomy area. Right at the exit, I heard the echoing of rapid footsteps. Someone was hurrying along the passage after me. My heart began to beat faster. Rushing away from the monastery and leaving its grey arcs behind, I ran toward the city. Where is he? Yo, I'm petrified. There are only ruins around. There's no residential buildings, no people. Any move I make will be really obvious. I'll get spotted. The houses, dilapidated and nearly reduced to rubble, stretched along the sides of the long street. The sounds behind me died down, but the feeling of being chased did not. It was dangerous to run forward. I had to come up with something else. Oh my god, not us hiding, like cowards! Turning toward the ruins, I ducked under the beams blocking the entrance to one of the houses and pressed myself against the wall. Through the window, which no longer had a frame or even any glass, one could see a part of this road. It's coming! The seconds seemed to drag on forever. A dark silhouette appeared on the road and walked down the street. When it reached the house I was hiding in, it immediately became harder to breathe. The snow crunched very close, then the sound began to move away. Gone. I waited here for some time to make sure that the danger had truly passed. The tracks went ahead, and it was dangerous to follow them into the city. All I could do was go around the deserted slums through the forest. This probably isn't the best idea, but I don't have much of a choice right now. Where is Cain? Trying to keep the ruins in sight, I slowly made my way forward through the dry branches and high snowdrifts. You promised you'd protect me, so the least you could have done was be there for me. I know I should count only on myself, but I wanted to trust Cain, to feel like someone is actually on my side. What a waste. Hope is weakness, and weakness is severely punished. To be quite honest, I have the feeling something happened to him. I have the feeling that he kind of is there, okay? He is there, but there's a supernatural force that's keeping him somewhere else, or a supernatural force that is actually capable to call him, and he won't have any other choice but to listen to that person's call and then disappear to look for that person. Soon an obstacle blocked my path. A deep ditch kept me from going further. I had no choice but to walk along it and hope that I would find some way to cross. My feet got stuck in the snow from time to time, but I stubbornly kept moving. Wandering through the forest wasn't fun, and I wanted this all to be over as soon as possible. The ruins had long disappeared from my view, and the forest became denser and darker. God, I need to go back. I've gone out too far, and the ditch just won't end. I had already turned around when I heard someone groan. Instantly I stopped and listened. The sound repeated. What is that? Should I run away or follow the sound? Before I could make a choice, I found myself next to some strange ruin standing right in the middle of the forest. The woman's voice sounded intimate, soft, but more importantly familiar. I hid behind a nearby stone slab when I heard a man talking, followed by another groan. Ah ha ha! You're a monk, bitch! You can't be doing all of this!
Don't shake, I'll be gentle, as always.
A scarlet puddle crept toward my feet. What's going on over there? I carefully peeked out from behind the stone. Oh my god. Aran stood naked in the snow with pink stripes on his skin left by thin feminine fingers. What is going on? With measured movements, he pounded into the pillowable body under him. The thighs that Abram was squeezing looked like they belonged to a man. What? Following scenes contains description of group sex and consensual cutting. Oh my god, I think there are 3 of them. What is going on? Uh-oh. Sneak a peek. Because I am that kind of a bitch. I leaned forward a little more. Now I could see all 3 figures clearly. Y'all, you are monks. This is not something that you should be doing.
Oh, Joseph, no argue back. I can't. Not them having a threesome. Is that it?
Abraham's palm pressed powerfully on the small of the man's back, and the second man let out a lustful sigh. Then he raised his head. His hair stuck together with sweat covered his eyes, but Joseph was easy to recognize. I was taken aback. I couldn't form a single thought in my head, and I just kept looking on blankly. First off, second off, what does this threesome have to do with the story? Scarlet blood flowed from the novice wounds. The knife drew patterns on the flesh, weaving passion, lust, and pain into a single whole. Lydia stood behind Abraham and covered his eyes with her hands. What the hell is going on? So that's whose voice it was. Leaving a trail of kisses on the novice's neck, she reached his mouth and gently pulled back his lower lip. Then she ran her tongue over it and kissed Abraham deeply and passionately. What is this supposed to be here? What is this gem choice supposed to make us learn? That not even monks can keep their lust in check? He let go of the other man's hips and reached into the unbuttoned dress, caressing the woman's body without ceremony. Abrahams enjoyed both of them at once, but it didn't seem like either of the participants was against it. When he touched the right spot, a groan escaped Lydia's lips. Her hands fell away as she succumbed to pleasure, and the novice thrusts grew rougher. Oh my god. What is going on? What are they doing? Like, it seems like he's about to die. And first off, he's the hot one. Sorry.
Did they kiss me?
With each new movement, steam left Joseph's mouth. His palms and knees were red. He was on all fours and the stone wall. Blood flowed down his thigh from the patterns carved by Abram. Hold up! I think I'm getting what's going on right now. Did Abram actually... But, y'all, I'm speechless. Did he carve into that man's flesh? Is that why he's bleeding? To be quite honest, I thought the woman was bleeding. You know, because first time a woman bleeds. But, oh my god, what is... Reluctantly, the woman plucked her lover's hand from her chest and crawled over to the other novice. Sitting in front of him, she smiled and touched his lips with hers. Over and over again, Abraham gave another rough thrust, and Joseph groaned. Lydia muffled his voice with a kiss. She ran her hand through the man's hair and ruffled it, not letting him catch his breath. Abraham pulled away from the couple, and translucent white stream and a translucent white stream ran down the novice's thigh. It merged with the blood and turned into soft pink. Madness. Lydia leaned back. She took off her dress and put it on the cold slab before laying on her back, covering herself shyly. The man gazed at her with desire, like she was everything to them. Eager, young, and beautiful, like a witch who captivated crowds of admirers and drove them wild, she attracted the eyes of both novices.
Come on, Joseph, take the knife and show me the strength of our love.
But this is supposed to be love? Yeah, okay. Like, there are different ways to show love, and there are a lot of people that like it rough. And I said I like it rough, but in theory, okay? In theory, this is not rough no more. This is actually abusive. This is abusive. Like, when I say rough, then I say that I'm not really that passionate lover. I'm more like this kind, driven by this lustful desire, you know? Like, that's what I mean when I say I like it rough. You know, all this gentle touching and all those soft kisses that you read in books and everything. Like, that's not really my type. As in, not in a man, but like in the bedroom. But this is not, this is not lustful or rough. This is... Oh my god, it actually is what our character just said. It's madness. What are they even doing? The novice moved closer and Lydia swallowed. Her chest began to heave with nerves and heavy sighs of anticipation. He squeezed her hips and pulled her closer. Abraham handed the knife over to his lover. Lydia turned over onto her stomach and playfully moved her hips. What is... Y'all, I'm about to... lose it.
Endure it, and it will feel good.
The blade passed over her delicate skin, barely touching its surface. Scarlet droplets appeared in its wake. What the fuck?
Lick it.
The novice's tongue touched the cut and slowly slid upward. Lydia's hands clenched into fists, either from pain or from pleasure. A ritual, a rite, an orgy? Or just lovers during intercourse? Whatever it wasn't something meant for prying eyes. You found out what kind of relationship these have? What was this supposed to... yeah. You know what? Whatever. Have your threesome. I would like to have like this opportunity that we could actually choose a threesome in the story. but oh well. Snapping out of it, I forced myself to back away and accidentally stepped on some withered roots hidden under the snow, which let out an audible crunch.
Did you hear that?
A groan escaped the woman's lips as Joseph's hot breath brushed against the back of her neck. Those two no longer cared about anything else. I heard the rustling of clothes. Abraham was hastily putting on his cassock. Taking advantage of the moment, I retraced my steps while also trying to wipe them away. As soon as I hid in the groove of the ledge, Abraham came out of the ruins.
Who's there? And who are you here?
Will I be able to get away? Ready to move, I froze when I saw a woman coming toward the novice.
I am.
She pointed to herself. She seemed to struggle with speaking and her voice sounded unnatural. None of the groans sounded throughout the ruins. The nun might not have noticed anything, but Abraham turned around on instinct, revealing to her the shocking view of the lovers. Not allowed.
Dad, you see, they...
She grew visibly anxious. Her eyes widened and she started flailing her hands around. She has difficulty hearing and communicates with her gestures.
You came to watch scene?
Now she'll tell everyone what she saw, but she also seems to think that Abraham just got here, so he has a chance of avoiding getting caught in the crossfire.
Yes.
He said it without obvious difficulty. Did he feel remorse for betraying them, or was it something else?
How did you get here?
The footsteps walking should be here. Oh, was she following us? Yeah.
Were they following some girl?
Yes, ran away, forest, unsafe, want help. Abraham glanced around. Now he seemed absolutely sure that there was someone here besides them.
Maybe confused with you? I don't think so. We have to find the runaway.
I backed further and further away, crawling through the gap between the tall stones. My foot froze in the air on a step, unable to find support. Suddenly the wind rushed past me and my vision filled with an overcast sky. It turned out that falling from a cliff wasn't that scary at all. Steel and sharp teeth glinted below. Path of high adaptability. General Leot's words came to mind, which he had said during one of the training sessions. A cat always lands on its feet by bending its torso and pulling its paws. I repeated the moves I learned a long time ago. My body remembered everything and reacted on instinct, but it didn't completely protect me from the impact. Well, damn. Sometime later, did we actually step into that bear trap? I opened my eyes and tried to sit up. My body ached all over. There was a large iron trap close to me, which I had very nearly fallen into. Okay, no, I don't want to imagine what would have happened if I hadn't managed to turn around. After rolling up a heavy snowball, I threw it with all my strength at the trap, triggering it. No, you won't hurt anyone. I looked around, trying to figure out where I had ended up and how I could get out. Did we lose consciousness? Not far from me, near a tall spruce tree, sat a brown hare. He twitched his nose in fear and stared at me with his big black eyes. Then he turned around and darted away. All right. I followed him. Animals always know the way out. When I reached the same tree the hare had been sitting under, I noticed a symbol carved into the bark. In the hollow beneath it, something flashed. You found a secret stash? Inside it was a bent military tag, a rosary, a thin string of colored stones, and a piece of paper with a copy of the symbol. Ooh. I took out my notebook and put the rosary inside. Ooh. The string of colored rocks has been added to the wardrobe. Ooh. Greg, what is he doing here?
Simona.
Huh? The familiar voice made me turn. Greg stood in front of me, watching me closely, as surprised as I was. One of his hands was in his pocket, and I guessed that he had his finger on the trigger.
Stay where you are.
Uh-oh. He was behind me. He slowly walked over, examining me. I fell off a cliff and almost landed on that trap. Then he raised his head. The snow on the cliff above us had been disturbed.
I see that.
He exhaled. Pulling out his hand, he came closer without any hesitation.
Are you alright?
I don't think you want to know if I'm alright, considering the fact that you were one that actually hurt me. Y'all, I'm bitter. This is something that I don't think I would ever be capable to forgive. Because this is inhumane what they did in that episode where they actually gave us drugs in order to, interrogate us. That was inhumane. I don't think I personally could ever move past that. Because I think that's, the worst thing. Imagine you getting along with someone and then they actually put you into a room. They literally strip you of every single human right and then they pretend that they care. No, you can leave. It's hard to say, but I think so.
What are you doing here anyway?
Returning from the monastery archives, someone was following me. I had to go around through the forest.
And Cain?
I've no idea, he just vanished.
That immortal does whatever he wants.
No, you do what you want. Greg, what are you doing here by yourself? The squad had finished the search, so there shouldn't have been anyone in the forest, and the rounds were always done in pairs. Greg fell silent, he looked away, and for a while neither of us said a word. Was he worried? Actually? Uh-huh. No, he wasn't. He wanted to see if he could find some type of information by himself.
I can't leave it like this. I don't believe in Extet.
You're going against the general's orders.
Yeah, but he won't be happy to learn that our dear cryptographer was roaming the woods alone. I don't think anyone will believe that you wandered here totally by accident.
What are you implying? He's kind of threatening us.
Nothing. I don't think of you as an enemy.
Yes, you do, son.
Let's just forget where we ran into one another today and not raise any more questions.
Take this tag, then. I found it here in the hollow of a tree along with the symbol.
Interesting. I can't make out the owner's name. I'll have to straighten it out. But why are you giving it to me?
Like you said, it's best if no one knows I was here. Tell them you found it somewhere. You'll make it sound less suspicious that way.
Agreed. Come on, we need to get out of here.
Greg took my arm, carefully helping me to keep steady.
You can lean on me. It's probably hard for you to walk right now.
Yes, the back of my head still hurts from the fall. Why the fuck would I lean on him? I don't want to lean on him! Are we hearing the way he's behaving towards us? He actually was willing to push us into a grave himself. And I'm supposed to say thank you? But on the other side, I want to know if there's like a... No. Y'all, I can't. I kind of want to forgive Greg, but I can't because of what he was willing to do in order to achieve his goals. No matter how deep in shit I am, if someone is not really giving me a reason to not trust them, I can't be doing all of this bullshit that he was doing. That was awful of him to do. So I can't really forgive him for that. But like I said, sometimes desperate times call for desperate measures. This man was desperate. Nick is kind of like his brother, family, and he lost so much family. So sometimes in times of need, we do things that can hurt others. I'm not trying to defend anything this man has done to us because like I said, I don't think I would be capable to forgive him. But let's not add more drama, you know? Lean on Greg. Surprised me. I leaned on Greg and his hand laid on my waist.
What a relief.
What?
I thought you were going to refuse.
Me. Actually me. But I'm intrigued to know what this man does. Y'all... like, if you have a different opinion about that, please let me know in the comments. Maybe I'm stupid for being like this, but I want to believe that not every single human being is rotten, because, like I said, every single human being has the same personality traits, as in the same emotions, and we choose them considering of what we all had to endure during the course of our life. And I don't want to believe that negativity can cause only damage. Like, in my eyes, I learned a lot of things by having to go through negativity, and I used that to turn me into a better person. And I want to believe that there are other people like that actually choose to behave better than they did before, rather than allowing that darkness to consume them and to never ever find their way back to their ideology, to who they once were, to who they want to be. Like, I can change in my behavior, etc., but my dreams, my desires, what I want to achieve in life, that remains the same. So I want to believe that there, of course, because we're imperfect, we can screw up, but I want to believe that deep down, everyone has like the soft core that, depending on the circumstances, depending on the person that they have in their life, can come to the surface. And like I said, he fucked up. I don't think I would ever be able to forgive him for that, but I don't think he's a bad person. And I want to believe that this man actually feels sorry, but he's just stupid in apologizing, you know? To be quite honest, we can actually see it. The fact that Nick is gone is literally making this man lose sight of who he is. Everything this man is doing right now is only pulled by one single motion, finding Nick, because he doesn't want to believe he's dead, and that makes him paranoid. That means as soon as you are paranoid, everyone around you is a danger to you or to your cause, and you believe that everyone will betray you at any time. You will only believe yourself and everyone that has the same thoughts as you, as in the same intentions. Greg agreed to torture us because he wanted to have answers, and General was fine with it. So he was like, okay, they're on my side, so I'm doing this with them because they're on my side. So that means that I can finally get some answers. You know, doesn't matter who has to suffer the consequences. Not really a good choice, but sometimes that's how things would be.
No need to be brave where there's no point to it.
I wasn't going to. We walked slowly, flanked by the walls of the ditch while branches and frozen blades of grass crunched under our feet. I staggered to the side and Greg tightened his hold.
Feeling dizzy.
He cupped my cheeks, peering straight into my eyes. I froze when I saw how close his face was to mine. Yes, I think. Greg smiled indulgently.
You think or yes?
I think. His bright smile made dimples appear on his cheeks. There's definitely something wrong with me.
Then let's rest for a bit.
He moved his hands behind my back. We were still standing quite close to one another. You're friendlier than the others.
Do you still think that?
No. He smiled and then brushed a snowflake from my cheek. His finger accidentally touched my skin.
What if I told you that I just can't wait to find out who is hiding under this layer of ice?
Son, you do not be talking to me and actually saying that you are waiting for the time I let my guard down, considering the fact that I put up my walls because of you. You tortured me. I'm taking now the defenses of our character. You tortured me. You allowed someone to actually put drugs inside of us in order to let us relive one of the most horrible moments of our lives, just in order for you to kind of get the pleasure out of perhaps being capable to get closer to your end goal. And now you're complaining that I have my walls up. You want me to put my walls down? You first show me that I can trust you. Show me that you will never ever stoop that low in order to reach your goals. If you were capable to do that, then fine.
Would you still say that I'm kind and good then?
Goosebumps rose across my body, shooting him a wary look. I pulled back a bit.
I'm kidding. Sorry, I couldn't resist. I just don't know how to get a rise out of you.
Well, what do you want me to do, son? Do you remember what you did? I'm sorry, but is he clueless? Who wouldn't be wary of someone that actually tortured us? Would you all be willing to move closer to this man? Would you all be willing to move closer to this man? What's wrong with how I am?
You're not really responding to me all that much. How can that be?
Y'all, I'm not gonna continue saying something. I feel better. Let's get going. Me. Is he stupid? With every move and smile, Greg seemed to say, my warmth is enough for both of us, so just don't think about anything else. We went on along the ditch, but this time I tried to keep my distance from him.
What things tough at the base? Only Anne and Dimitri really feel at home in this wilderness. For the rest of us, it was torture. And you spent, by the way, how long were you there for?
I was called as a burial almost immediately after the cataclysm began. I had to get used to everything pretty quickly. They don't give you much time to settle in. But I wasn't the only one dealing with those conditions. It wasn't easy for anyone.
Considering how much our planet withstood, you walked there for about a year.
The conversation grew quiet. I looked at Greg walking next to me and found that he looked surprisingly very good surrounded by all the snow. He is fine. Doesn't change his attitude. It's the same with the general, y'all. A lot of people were actually shocked when I shot the general to the stars. because of how he looks. In my eyes, if your personality is trash, I will keep on saying it until every single one of you realizes that. You are worth so much more than that. All of you, I'm saying this to all of you, everyone that's listening. You are worth more than that. A beautiful face will not keep you happy. If your personality is trash, it will always remain trash. Okay? A beautiful face will not save you. It will not help you. The conversation grew quiet. I looked at Greg walking next to me and found that he looked surprisingly very good surrounded by all the snow. For some reason, the last thought made my ears grow warm. What about you? How long have you been with the squad?
3 years. I joined the troops when the rift appeared.
You wanted to help people?
Well, that too.
So is that a yes or a no? He smiled conspiratorially. The pensive moment passed and he returned to his usual easy mood. A light appeared ahead of us a little further and we found come out to the ruins which were very close to the city.
We're almost out.
I thought I could hear a trace of sadness in Greg's voice. You didn't answer my question.
And I won't. I'll save the intrigue for our next conversation.
What makes you think I'm that invested? He rolled his eyes and grinned.
Liar.
With Greg, you can feel the fullness of life. You really don't want to let go of this feeling. We came out into the light. A gust of wind immediately ruffled my hair.
Let's go.
We were about to enter the city when I decided to mention the strange ritual. There were people from the monastery in the forest. You didn't see anyone before you found me?
No, what happened exactly?
Two novice and a worker were cutting each other, and admitting that I witnessed such an intimate scene turned out to be a little more difficult than I thought it would be. Copulated right in the snow.
The 3 of them?
Yes.
How sweet.
Son, don't be doing all of this.
That gave us some interesting ways of serving God.
One of the nuns ended up catching them, and she wasn't happy about it. I think the others at the monastery probably aren't aware.
Do you want to know more about the people you saw?
I nodded. Greg walked me to the estate. Cain wasn't there. Only Noah was in the hall. The rest of the squad was either out on duty or running errands.
Be careful with the immortals. You have to spend a lot of time with them, but we still can't really trust them. We straightened up, abandoned her in the monastery, knowing that 2 squad members have died. So far, only one is confirmed.
Ooh, yeah, don't be talking about Nick, because he is protective about that.
Whatever you say.
Noah frowned and rolled his eyes, but didn't push the subject. I need to find a book in the estate, or rather, I need to try to find it. The faster I can find clues, the more I'll learn about my situation. I want to explore to the top roof. I want to explore the top floor. Cain said there's a small library there. It seems that Romanov was also interested in learning about rituals. He took the book we need from the monastery archives and never returned it.
The pompous blonde guy who suggested we move in here?
No, his ancestor. The one who built this estate.
There are 2 private rooms on the 2nd floor. We took the keys from Boris to examine them after Amrit's death. The library is one of them, but Cain looked around there in the first days and didn't find anything interesting.
Have you given the keys back yet?
Yes, but Noah doesn't have much to do. I'll bring them over. Why, I don't even know where to look for his house.
I do. Happened to pay him a visit.
Well, aren't you efficient? Why? Or rather, how did you end up there?
Greg looked at me strangely, waiting for an answer. Again, Cain and I ran into him in a clearing. It was when we went after Pilin and Ania in the forest.
What? Why? Why did he drag you all the way out into the wilderness?
He shook his head in annoyance, then looked down and rubbed his neck tiredly.
Just be careful. I have to finish what the general asked me to. Which means I can't go with you, so Noah, you watch over her. Of course, I'll be happy to take a stroll to God knows where. Thanks for asking.
Son, be kind. On the way to the hunting lodge, Noah kept looking around constantly. He was usually quiet and reserved. In battle, he was quite a bit weaker compared to the rest of the squad. That could be guessed simply by looking at his physique. Despite that, Noah also had an inner strength that one developed from overcoming life's difficulties. Apparently, he had more than his fair share of them. Everything around the house was the same as it had been a few days ago. Only the elk carcass, as Romanov promised, was gone. And out of breath, Libya greeted us at the doorway. She called Boris over and went to the kitchen. Beautiful.
I didn't think we would meet again so soon. Likewise. What brings you here? Did everything happen at the estate?
Everything's fine. I just wanted to ask you for the keys to the library, if possible. Otherwise, I'll have to find some other way to get in there.
Of course. Come, there is in my room.
Damn. Look at this. This reminds me of a Barbie movie. The second floor turned out to be quite a bit smaller than the dining room. There was more wood and less light.
See, to be honest with you, I'm out of touch with the affairs of the estate, so it would take me a bit to remember what from the pile goes where.
He dropped a heavy bundle of keys onto the table. With a sigh, Noah lunged in one of the office chairs. I looked around. The shelves were filled with books, and Romanov's office was full of things that I wanted to take a closer look at. This is what the rooms of people with the finances to match their ambitions look like. I always wanted the same thing. Material values are important. I always wanted the same thing, to have many goals and aspirations. To be quite honest, material values are important. That's something I actually believe. Like, I actually grow attached to my belongings. Walking by the bulky wooden shelves, I felt like I was being watched. The ringing of keys died down, and even Noah turned to look at me.
Don't be shy. This room is at your disposal. I will be happy to tell you about anything that catches your eye.
Thank you. I'm just looking around. If Noah had stayed downstairs, I could have asked him about the locals, knew about the base. Boris continued to search for the key, but Noah still didn't take his eyes off me. What? I quietly mouthed the words. He nodded to the chair next to him.
Enough pacing, sit.
Stubbornly shaking my head, I turned away and continued looking around.
There it is. You only need the one from the library, right? Or should I give you everything at once? Although I wouldn't want to deprive myself of the opportunity to see you again.
Sunny. Luvia appeared at the door carrying a tray with several glasses on it. To be quite honest, I'm happy to see him. Boris is amazing. Luvia.
There you go. It's already getting dark out, and you probably haven't eaten yet.
She pulled on Noah's cheeks as if he were a little boy.
I shall just need to eat. What is she saying? Only good things.
When Livia left, Noah approached the drinks with interest.
I've been drinking this tea since childhood. You could say it's our family traditional recipe. The tincture of nuts and herbs is kept in the basement for some time, and then a few drops are added to the drink. Try it, it's perfect for winter.
This looks like rum. Everyone took a glass and drank. The tincture was bitter and too sweet at the same time. The liquid spread a pleasant warmth throughout my body.
Really, it's so horrible.
Oh my god, Boris laughed.
I used to have the same opinion. I didn't think anyone in their right mind would drink this, but time changes us. Yes, nice story. I think it's time for us to go.
It's so early to leave. I haven't learned anything yet. I looked at Noah and took another sip. How can I get you out of this room?
Oh, it looks like you enjoy it. If you want, I can give you a couple of bottles.
This tincture tastes awful, but it's an opportunity. I don't mind it. Also, it really warms the body and we could use that.
Then you need to help Libya get the bottles from the basement. Come.
I probably grabbed Boris' hand. I have to come up with something. Ask him about the books. Can I ask you something about a couple of books?
You've got to be kidding me.
This is important. Noah glared at me but didn't have a valid objection. He left the office and I heard his nervous steps going down the stairs.
How can I help you?
I went over the shelves that had attracted my attention earlier and tried to find the right words. Boris leaned against the doorway and folded his arms over his chest, watching me thoughtfully.
I'm impressed by people who can look so natural when surrounded by luxury and wisdom. Frankly, such people have always been a rare in Radkov.
Really? The city doesn't look like some remote outback.
Mines are still built in a state on the snowy wasteland, and village was built nearby to serve it. Churches were built for the people, fountains were installed, and a square was constructed, but all that was little more than a coat of paint. The common people cannot understand lordly aspirations. Only a sensitive soul can appreciate beauty. Hard workers have other concerns, no less beautiful, but completely different. It's the same even now. Besides, our family, hardly anyone in the city recognizes the beauty they live among. And Rodkov was never known for its great minds.
Boris came closer.
But you didn't get rid of Noah just for mere small talk, did you?
Goosebumps rose along my skin. Looking up from my books, I turned and caught Romanov's gaze on me.
I will gladly help in any way I can. So what do you require from me?
I would like to know what happened to Zaberia. Rodkov was closest to the base.
What exactly interests you about it? It's a very simple story. There was a landslide in the mountains, and the base was buried.
Boris suddenly looked away. He tried to hold his previous pose, but I noticed that something in his behavior had changed. That's it?
If we're talking about the facts, yes, but I have my doubts about what happened and these monsters. Could it really be that simple? Where are they coming from there?
Do you have any thoughts?
Yes.
Boris turned to the shelf and ran his hand along its smooth surface.
But first, I would like to give you a small gift in honor of your friendship.
He took out an ornament made of stones that had a soft green tint.
This is beryl. I made this necklace myself, but have not yet been able to give it to a woman I found worthy. I don't want to lose this chance. May I?
Silently I nodded and lifted my hair, exposing my neck. Romanov carefully fastened the necklace. My body trembled when he accidentally touched me. Boris was very courteous. Boris was very courteous, polite and pleasant. He gave off the same impression as the tea, a little bitter but at the same time too sweet.
Boris is happy to have pleased you. Ancestors chose this place for a reason. You see, the people who lived in these parts believed that special forces inhabited this place.
Like that shaman.
I think you felt that there was something inexplicable in these lands. This city, these people, even the state itself. I tried so hard to escape from all this, yet I'm stuck here again.
Do you think some higher power is to blame? Like the immortals and demons, angels, gods?
Unfortunately, Simon, I cannot answer this question. I haven't figured it out myself yet.
I felt a sudden emptiness in my head, so I just nodded in response.
Your companion is probably already sick of waiting. Let's not leave him at the mercy of Libya's hospitality.
Oh my god, I followed Boris, but my vision suddenly swayed. A strange feeling came over me. Romanov opened the office door and froze, hesitating on the doorstep.
No, where is Libya?
His voice sounded alarmed. Suddenly there was the sound of someone being struck and then a crash. I wouldn't see anything from where I was behind the man's back, but someone was clearly trying to break in. Romanov rushed back, trying to protect me with his body. No, son, don't die! All the sounds mixed into one ringing cacophony. With no more strength in me, I sank to the floor.
Snap out of it.
His cry wasn't directed at me. I writhed in horror and pressed myself against the wooden planks of the floor. They trembled beneath me as the man came closer. With the last of my strength, I looked up. It was impossible to see the attacker behind Romanov's back. The man swung and Boris' body shook.
You son of a bitch.
Several dark drops splashed onto the floor. Romanov clenched his hands into fists. He looked like he could hardly stand from the pain.
You won't hurt her.
Boris! No, sweetie! Don't be dying on me! He suddenly rushed forward and lunged at the enemy, tumbling out the door with him, and I lost consciousness. Great! Y'all, one time someone is kind to us, very respectful, very generous, very lovable, he dies. I hate it. He actually protected us with his body, and literally he's about to protect us with his life. This man. I need to give Boris some props, y'all, and he fine too. I mean, my soulmate is and remains Cain, but still. Boris, you could win me. You could win me over. But I hope you enjoyed this video with me. It's been a while. I love the story. Tell me in the comments below what you think was best, and I will see you in another video. Bye.